So I have at least $10 million to spend next year in 2025 for one of my partners. My name is Jonah Blake, and I run one of the top strategy and go-to-market agencies in the United States, specifically for crypto, DeFi, and in some cases gaming. Okay, so we're going to talk about one of my partners, Sakuru. Sakuru is a publisher out of Asia, and I'm tasked with helping them spend at least $10 million next year on how to grow their ecosystem, how to grow their value, and how to pick games that coincide with the strategy they initially had when they came to me. And that sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. If you're in game publishing, the average deal will cost you between $2 to $10 million between indie, like let's say III or AA. Okay, so very expensive already. So how do I take $10 million and make it work for my clients? In 2025, I think you're gonna see a lot of interesting game sales around what you call the hype-driven purchase. Games become extremely popular and then collapse the next month like crazy fast, and then a new narrative blooms. This year you had Dragon Ball Z sparking zero, but that's not just Dragon Ball. You see that with shooting games, you see that with card games, you see that with racing games, and then a lot of games around that same genre launch. For example, Only Up, right? When Only Up launched, someone did it quickly on Fortnite, and then there were other versions of Only Up that other developers made, and they sold, but they all sold within a 6 to 8 month period. I'm going to be looking for games that are fast to make, are not the first to success in the market, but are second or third. And I'm going to be looking for games that are relatively cheap to make or have a viral component to them. There are these new type of horror games where if you scream into the mic, you like reset the level. And that's the type of game that I would back because it's hype driven, it works with streamers, it's seasonal, it's in the moment, and it's relatively cheap to make. And people will pay, anywhere from $5 to $30 for that game. The second thing I'm looking for is regional distribution. The problem with having a smaller fund, and also the benefit, is when you're small, you can move very quickly as a business. Someone like Sakuru should not be doing global distribution and global publishing, right? It takes too long. There's too much money. The research and data aspect and analytical aspect is very cumbersome, time consuming. Even if they had the money, by the time they figured out how to globally distribute a game, that would already be out of the scope of narrative. Now, the good news is Sakuru is mostly based out of Tokyo, Japan. And a lot of culture comes from Tokyo, Japan that the West really likes. And vice versa, the West really wants to break into Asia. Now that you see games like Black Myth Wukong entering, the Chinese and American market, there's just this big desire to work with publishers natively between East and West. One example, there could be a shooting game that is based in the US, but turns out could work really well in Japan just based on the data we have, what the virality metrics look like, or what the potential of the genre looks like. With our spend, we can translate it for the Japanese, the Korean, or the Southeast Asia audience. Now, number 3, I'm definitely looking for games and products that are not needing a lot of dev work and are simply looking for marketing money, which means that Sakuru is probably not the first publisher of choice. They're probably going to go to someone else who has larger money, where the publishing money is used to develop. And then with that development, Sakuru would come in as a secondary publisher or a publisher partner to infuse the game with enough cash to get to marketing, not just developer completion. Now, this is, I wouldn't say conventional, but like obvious. I'm obviously going to be looking at, it has to be legal, but betting and gambling games. There is no doubt that the world is becoming more degenerate. You see this with NFL betting statistics, soccer, or what you guys call football outside the US, like that's becoming more degenerate. The idea that a 15-year-old knows the word parlay is not something that was normal 10 years ago. The reality is there's a lot of funding there, or a lot of capital to be made there, and my job is to make money for a client, and that's what we're going to do. Anyway, this is my quick video on how I'm thinking about spending $10 million next year in 2025. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. Take care.